Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to PSGL Season 34, round number 6. At the top tier on PlayStation, and we go to the land of the rising sun tonight, Suzuka Circuit, for the Japanese Grand Prix. And we got a lot of steward reports to go through, so we'll go through that in just a second. But my name is Jesport, and joining me once again, as always, to my right, we got Mr. James Head. James, how you doing?
I am doing very, very well, Jess. Yes, it is the land of the rising sun. Indeed, the land of many penalties as well from Austria as well. We had 17 stewards reports, 3 appeals as well. We'll bring you all of that in just a second. But no, should be a good one. Should be very interesting indeed. Can't wait for the racing to get started.
Yes, exactly. And it's a track where it's produced lots of red flags. It could produce high safety cars, as we found out in F2 just now, and a threat of rain, which we hope we won't see in F1 here this evening, because otherwise there could be chaos. But yes, as James was saying, 17 stewards reports, a few appeals as well. That changed the outcome for the win as well, and that meant there was actually no, it did change the outcome for a win ever so slightly, and then it changed again due to appeals. But it's Louis that's got his first ever win for a while because of that.
It was, yeah, Louis Valentin taking the win in the end. Tom had a 5-second penalty applied at the end of the race. Sam Gamer had a 3-second penalty applied at the end of that race as well. They finished originally first and second, so that's why Louis Valentin won in the end. Sam dropped a second, Tom there in third in terms of the podiums. Also, notable penalties to be given out. Mubarak had a 10-second penalty for 2 separate incidents, in fact, and I'll just get them up right now. Mubarak's incidents were... I cannot find them on my list. But he had a 10-second penalty regardless. Also penalties given as well to Bradder's 5-second penalty. That had an appeal. That was rescinded, unfortunately, so that 5-second penalty stands. And also Keane got a 5-second penalty upon appeal as well. So all of that put into things. Not much change in terms of the top 3. Quite a lot of change further down the field. In the end, Mubarak dropping to what? 14th position as a result. That's how close it was in Austria, dropping to 14th in the end. Bradders in the end dropping to 10th, got 1 point out of that race, and Kian, because of that, he dropped as well to 13th, and he was the 15 finishers of the Austrian Grand Prix, and that is pretty much the full rundown in terms of the steward reports, and I'm glad I don't have to read out all 17, by the way.
Yes, a few driver changes as well. Due to the lag warning that Tim got again, it was later noted in Discord later on in the week last week that Tim has been subsequently removed from this season due to his connection. It is likely that he will return next season. We also got Wiener that has been moved to a reserve, and the man who did really well from last on the grid last week, he makes his full-time reappearance in PSGL F1. He was mainly a reserve, mainly because obviously he didn't get his setup in time. But now he's got his setup and he's ready to go. He's now back full-time where he belongs. Kaisig in 9th in the championship, which is great to see. Jerry Van Bussel currently leads the way on 36 points to Marcos' 34 points. Consistency gets the good results, and Jerry Van Bussel usually likes to try those on strategies, and he's proven that you don't really necessarily need to win to be up there fighting for the championship.
No, definitely not. I mean, Volokongan, I remember from season 32, I think it was, of F2. He didn't have a win all season and was just so consistent throughout the season. He won that championship, and that was down to the final race of the season. So it just comes to show consistency is really key, especially in the early stages of a championship. Jerry, so far, has had, what, a second and a third place to his name, and 4 top 5 finishers out of the whole field, which is very good indeed. Comes to show his good form. Also comes to show, though, how fortunate he's been in terms of the stewards reports as well. Obviously, Tom, 5-second penalty, Sam, 3 seconds last week as well, bringing him to that top step. But top 4 are separated by only 3 points coming into tonight. Jerry Van Bussel, then Markadels, then Kazizel and Bradders. And honestly, with Blackbox, Sam Gamer, Louis especially, 24, 22 and 17 respectively, they're not out of it either. And I mean, anybody could still win the championship, given that we are only at the halfway stage of the season.
Yes, and good news, James, we are about to get on the way as everyone is in the lobby. Quite a few, I believe, reserves in as well tonight, so that's great to see them getting their reappearance too, obviously with Tom making his full-time debut too. And we just got to mention the likes of Lars as well, who did very well in Austria last time out, even though he's reserve. Unfortunately, he can't race tonight because there's hardly any spaces. And he got the reward for it and getting some decent points as well. And I think, like Tom, he had hardly any pressure because he's reserve and he could just race for a bit of fun, really. But now, Tom is a full-time driver. There's got to be more pressure on Tom, surely.
Yeah, pressure's on, definitely, I think, for him. Given how I've seen him perform as well in WOR, I think Tom certainly has been struggling in terms of his overall pace. Last week, though, in Austria, he proved that he can be up there. He proved that he's a contender. And he proved as well his previous form in PSGL, which I think is really speaking volumes going forward into the rest of the season for Tom. And hopefully Tom can prove himself because he's, 9th in the standings currently. That podium position, yes, that race win was taken away from him. The best way he can respond to that is outperform himself. Outperform himself here in Japan, outperform everyone else, get the race win, and then, like Markadels earlier on in the season, try and get a little bit of retribution. Because famously, of course, Markadels got taken his race win away and then came back the week after and won. So it just comes to show it can and will be done. As we have got, luckily, Jess, a very dry qualifier.
Yes, hopefully it's going to be like that for the race, but I'm sure all the other drivers can tell us otherwise. And the first driver out on circuit is one of the AlphaTauris, which I think it could be Aurelian, who's back this week. He wasn't here last week, so good to have him back racing at PSGL. Not currently in the top 10 of the standings, but surely he would want to score some higher results this season, because I got to admit, there's some places where he could have scored higher, but he was very, very unlucky. He's only attended one race this season, scored 7 points in Silverstone. 4 points in Silverstone, he finished 7th. And apart from that, he did not attend any of the races. So a lot of chance to recover for him. Jensen as well, who has only scored 4 points. And I like more Borat, the only full-time driver yet to score this season. So I think these drivers have got a lot more pressure under their belts as well. But Aurelian may like this track. For a bit of information about this track, for those of you that don't know, first opened as a test track in 1962 by Honda. It was designed by John Hugenholtz, and apologies if I said that wrong, 30 miles southwest on Nagoya, and it was mainly testing their latest motorbikes and cars. In 1987, that was the first F1 race in Suzuka, and it's very demanding track, so the elevation changes, the drivers travel downhill into a first bend before ascending up through the S's, and then there's a only figure of 8 layout on the calendar, and then they hurtle towards 130R as well. So a lot of changes in Japan that could make it very exciting. Qualifying is crucial. James, let us take you through Aurelian's lap.
Yeah, let's run on board with the PSO man of Aurelian down in towards right-hander of turn number 1 and then through the right-hander of turn number 2. He was on vacation the last week and was actually watching it from the swimming pool apparently, which hopefully he's not going to be finding himself in a bit of deep water here tonight. He comes through the S section 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and then toward the Dunlop curve at turn number 7, famously of course where we saw that horrific crash with Jules Bianchi in 2014. Rest in peace Jules, as we come through that part of the track. 30.9 in the first sector. Degner 1 and Degner 2 taken very, very nicely indeed, and the Aurelian is really now on the throttle. He's got about 60% of ERS to use. He's going for a low fuel run as well that I've just noticed, so he is only going for 1 run and then come back in the pit lane, so maybe we'll see 3 or 4 runs potentially for Aurelian down in towards the infamous spoon curve where I ran wide multiple times, I've got to say, in time trial. Hopefully Aurelian doesn't do the same here as he now comes through spoon curve at turn number 14 and looking absolutely on the limit. And the Frenchman, you wouldn't think he's been away a week, because this is an absolute humdinger of a lap coming in so far from Aurelian. And the Frenchman in the middle sector, 1:09.9 in the middle sector, with a little bit of traffic there just to the left-hand side. The Alfa Romeo getting out of the way through 130R, now in towards the Casio Triangle at turn 16, 17, and nearly messes it up on the brakes there in towards the Casio Triangle through the final corner at turn 18, where Evan Dalton famously spun on the wet, but a 26.4 from Aurelian to start off the night. Very good lap, but there's still a 10th or 2 to improve.
Yeah, still got more drivers. Last week's race winner came across the line just now into P2. And then we got, I think, one of the McLarens who's just gone faster. And if there's a driver looking for redemption, that's definitely Kian. And Marlon, who is looking for more redemption as well, because he showed the pace last week, but he got a bit unlucky in some places. More Borat now goes fastest. So people are starting to trade a few positions. No, you go faster. You go faster. You go faster. And yeah, that is going to be the case at the moment. Marcados slots himself into P2. We got one of the other AlphaTauris, a black box. He came across the line in P5. We got the Hasses up to the line as well. Ryan in P6. What about Tom as he heads towards the Casio Triangle 2 as he's invalidated his lap time? Jay Van Bussel is going towards the Casio Triangles just now. PSF2 Shelby from last season. He's currently leading the F1 Championship. Can he hold on to his F1 pretty much defence right now? Well, not at the moment. He's currently 4th. But Max came across the line in P3. That is a qualifying that I'm expecting from Max, because he was showing this more last season. He hasn't been that consistent this season, but so far he's doing a lot better than what I've seen previously from him.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, look at the top 5 are covered by, what, a 10th of a second between them. Kazizel, by the way, coming through now the Casio Triangle, he's really going for this lap. The Alfa Romeo, the 9-time karting champion, on the run to line with a bit of lag, actually. 26.1 in the end, puts himself into 5th position. So not a bad lap time there at all from Kazizel. Tom invalidating his lap, as you mentioned there, Jess. Nando and Jensen are the only other 2 out there on a run, but Jensen's backed off his run. Looks like he's going to come back in the pit lane, and Nando's through the first sector, and he's just gone on to a run. So Nando looking to try and improve on his current no lap time that he's got. The Aston Martin through the first sector is a 30.9, so a little bit off in the first sector, but coming through Degner 1 and Degner 2, you get caught on that curb on the outside, you will invalidate your lap. I tried that as well in my league race, and I've got to be honest, it was absolutely horrible in terms of the curbs through Degner 1 and Degner 2, and especially if you're running on a set of hard compound tyre a little bit later on. Mubarak no Adam top, Marcos in second, Max in third, Nando's still on his lap. Everyone's going to be coming back in the pit lane after their first runs. I have asked, by the way, in the chat if there's an outlook for the race in terms of the weather. Nobody has responded, which suggests to me it's not looking good.
Or, usually in the chat, if it's rain, they complain. Because usually when I have a wet race, I usually am one of the first in my league to say, oh no, it's raining, oh no. So, or maybe they just want to surprise us. Hopefully it's the latter and they want to surprise us. But we'll see as Nando goes up to the line at 126.3. So, in P11 right now, a few temps separating the top 11, which I have to say is absolutely crazy. So as James said, everyone will be going into the pit lane as well. It's not always been held here, the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka. Fuji being another track as well, which you can race in Project Cars 2 if you have the game. And did you know also there's a theme park located on the same site as the Suzuka circuit, hence why you can see a large Ferris wheel and roller coaster adjacent to the pit straight. I can't really see a roller coaster, so I can see the Ferris wheel though, but I wish I was in Japan going on that, even though I'm scared of roller coasters to save my life. So yeah, those were some interesting facts that I found about the Suzuka circuit with 10 minutes left to go on the board. And also make sure you check out our sponsors, GT Omega. 5% all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout. Check out the link in the description, or just type the command !GT Omega. And also, James, we've got a brand new sponsor as well that was launched on Wednesday in PCF1.
Virage GG, if I'm not mistaken, and you can purchase their sim racing gloves in terms of that. PCF1, I've got to be honest, the perfect platform, I think, to launch a brand new product. Virage GG, certainly that brand new sponsor, of course, for PSGL moving forward. And hopefully we do get more sponsors on board. I'm not being like completely brass by saying this, but I really hope we do. It just comes to show the progression of the league. And I mean, I joined season 30 and there was a whole load of commentators coming through the platform then. And honestly, the way that it's grown over 4 seasons and over 1 game cycle is absolutely beyond belief. It just comes to show the testament that you just everyone puts in behind the scenes to get the league working, and really hope people can get on board without any sponsor calls for GG, as the second laps are now just about to begin, as I waffle on just a little bit too much there. But it is the Alpha Romeo, I believe, of Jensen, who was going to be the first man to go on to his run, coming through 130.
Yeah, one of the drivers who needs to pretty much redeem his season. He was in exactly the same position last season, and he managed to get a win in China, and it is a Asia-type track, so maybe they have similar characteristics, and maybe it can help him a little bit as well. The S's kind of remind me of a Maggots and Beckett's type vibe around Silverstone. I absolutely like that section of corners, and to be honest, Japan for me is a lot better on this game than the last game. But James has put a question in the chat. Let us know your thoughts about pole and what lap time it's going to be as well. Let's see what Jensen can do in the first sector. Passed on that curb, heading towards Degner 1, 30.945. There's still a bit of time to find for the Alfa Romeo driver, but he has been improving on this game cycle as well, with the more leagues he takes passing. Goes through the hairpin. I've seen some brilliant moves around there. And by the way, I had people trying to go up down the inside in the wet towards Spoon. So if they could do it in the wet, I'm almost certain that these guys could do it in the dry. So Jensen heading towards Spoon now. We've got more people on laps coming up now. 1:26.0 is the time to beat. I think we could get a 1:25 coming up, as Jensen is almost coming towards traffic. Luckily, people move out the way as he heads towards the Casio Triangle. Oh, that was tight.
Very close indeed. That was the Red Bull, I think, on an outlap. That was Marlon, if I'm not mistaken, on an outlap. Jensen now coming through out of the Casio Triangle on the run to the line. I've been shaking my head at this lap because that is not good. 14th position. A 1:26.420, 3,000th of a second behind Bradders, who's already improving more than likely in the first sector. I'm just picking up on board with him as a rally now goes quick. It's 26 flat from him, and Bradders indeed is a 10th up already on that time. But a rally now on top, Mubarak there in second, Markador's there in third. I'm just trying to see who's furthest on. PSR Max is, however, he's invalidated, so he's going to be coming back into the pit lane in the Red Bull. Jerry Van Bussel as well has also backed off his lap, so he's not going to go for a run at least there in 5th position, 26.119, sticking on his first lap time. At this lap time, Volakongan on the run to line going 8th position. The man I'm on board with is just ahead of him, Kian, in the McLaren, and it looks like he is on this full run now coming through Spoon Curve, so he's looking very good, I've got to say. But we should see, Jess, 25's coming definitely soon indeed, and Will I Am there in the chat, no relation to Will Murdoch, I hope. 25.5 in the middle set, 25.5 from Kazizzle, as Black Box sets the first, 25.9 in the night. Kian might be sending another one, though he is a 10th up in the middle sector.
I think this could be pole position, but Bradders has gone even quicker by a 10th. Can Kian do any better and get pole? Nope, he can't, but it's so close. 3 drivers in the 1:25s right now. What about Markados at the moment? I think Markados is only 6 100ths down on his previous best, and it is not enough to get into pole position. He's only improved by 7 100ths of a second. What about his teammate I'm just trying to see where he is at the moment. Stefano's gone into the pit lane. Jay Van Bussel's going into the pit lane because he has invalidated. I'm just trying to see who else is on laps. I think Kazizzle could be on one. Kazizzle heading towards 1:30 now. Didn't see what his set to one time was, but it's 1:09.6. He is on fire, Kazizzle, at the moment. And Avatar in the chat has put 1:25.6 for pole position. We're almost getting into that stage, aren't we? So it could be possible. Kazizzle up to the line. He's won here before in PSGL, but he's not going to get pole at the moment. He only sits himself into P4. He was really unlucky last week. I believe he DNF'd quite early on, so another chance for him to redeem himself here, potentially in Japan, to get his championship on the right track. But the calm before the storm is coming, and we're about to see their final lap times very soon.
Definitely so, yeah, because just to come on to that as well, looks a little bit out of sync in terms of the timings through the final sector. It was a little bit of a shame because I thought that was absolutely a stunning lap from him. Fourth position, I think he'd be very happy with, but he knows he's got a 10th or maybe even 2/10 per second at least in that. Brad is out on top though, Keen in second, Blackbox there in third. Brad is, of course, one of the only drivers, in fact, the only driver that has qualified for Pro Exhibition this year. So congratulations to him. Currently P1, currently showing why everyone in behind are future stars as well. But Brad is currently our up-and-coming star, leading the way from Keane in second, and then Blackbox there in third. It's Alex the Fire Gamer, hopefully no relation to It's Alex G, is there in the chat saying good evening, hope you're doing well. Avatar saying a 25.670 in terms of the best lap times, potentially in terms of this session. I mean, we're at a 25.8, Jess. I honestly can't see, with what, 6 minutes to go, I think, in the session. Well, 4 minutes ago in the session even, I actually can't see many drivers improving on their final lap. So I think we're going to hold the ceiling maybe at a 25.7.
Well, the drivers know well that most people can't improve on their runs in PSF1. It's always happened every season around most tracks, and I think me and Aiden can testament to that. And if you get a good lap in the middle half of the qualifying session, you're in a really good shout to potentially get pole already. You probably got the least pressure out of everybody. It's all the drivers now are in the pit lane, and then we'll see who's going to be the first one out. The first one out is Jensen, who's going to be out of sync with everybody else, but he's going to have some clear track in front of him as well. And this was a car that Kimi Räikkönen drove a couple of seasons ago, and this very driver won from 17th on the grid back in 2005, and only 2 Grand Prix in the history of F1 have been won from further back around this track. So Jensen maybe would like to follow in Kimi Räikkönen's footsteps, but he's not going to do that when he's 15th.
No, he's one of the elder statesmen as well. I'm going to use a Kimi Räikkönen analogy, I think, on him, because he seems to have been around the block, Jensen, quite a lot on PlayStation. And I think it just comes to show his testament to his racing, his testament as well to the driving that he's been showing. But he's been up against it, I've got to be honest, on this game cycle. Seen him in PSGL, seen him in WOR as well. He's really struggled on this game so far. And he's out of sync compared to everyone else. And he is running a very much a big tactic that the main drivers have been showing. And that is to waste a little bit of fuel. Try and get as much minimal fuel load as possible. Try and get the time from somewhere. And it's coming from where this fuel load is burning. Coming through Spoon Curve, every single person, you can see yellow flags through first sector and the middle sector as well. With only 2 minutes to go, majority of the field are going to be doing this, and I would not be surprised, especially if you've done that curve, if we get to see any 5-second penalties coming through for illegal blocking. If that is, it does warrant the case, of course, for a restart. It is a glitch within the game, so that will warrant a restart if that does happen. But Jensen going to be the first man out on track. The yellow flag's pretty much through all 3 sectors now as he comes through 130 or perhaps the slowest speed I think I've ever seen a car go through there, about 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well, but he's wanted to get some heat in his tyres, and bearing in mind that on this game, you have to have different optimal temperatures for each tyre. It's not the same for every tyre this year, so that's something they got to bear in mind. So hopefully he's warmed up his tyres efficiently as well. Final pole predictions, let us know in the live chat. We'll see if Jensen can do any better. He takes the first part of the lap a lot better through the S's section, at least take a little bit more speed, and don't forget they're on low fuel for these final runs, and the track is evolving very quickly, but they can't afford to make any mistakes at all, because otherwise they're going to be starting lower down on a track that is very difficult to overtake. Brad is currently on top with a 125.867, and it's Keen in second with a 125.938, Blackbox in third with a 125.953, and then consider 125.987. I think it could be down to one of them to get pole position. And look at that traffic on the mini-map heading towards the Casio Triangle. That is mad. But we're going to watch Jensen heading towards Spoon Curve as he tries to complete his lap.
Yeah, somebody that's not going to be improving, by the way, is Jerry Van Bussel. Made a mistake coming through Dunlop Curve at turn number 7. So that is him pretty much out of the session, out of the running, maybe even for top 10 place at this stage. But Jensen now coming up towards this traffic. Luckily, everything has got away. He's got Tom, I think, coming through the final corner just ahead of him. In fact, it's Kazizel coming across the line, and he doesn't get time to set another lap. So Kazizel, already out the session, not setting another lap time. Jensen on the run line does improve, but it's only 13 for Jensen, 26.296. on board with him. Brothers though out on top, Kian in second, Blackbox in third. Brothers' first sector, for reference, is a 30.909, and he's a 10th down to the first sector, so that is shocking from Brothers through the first sector. Kian's furthest on the lap as well. We've got one of the Ferraris on the run to line, which I think is Volakongan. He's back actually into the pit lane, so he is done. Kian, though, is going to be one of the next to come across the line, and it's a 109.4 in the middle sector. Absolutely huge from Kian. Here comes the Flying Dutchman in towards the final couple of corners of the Casio Triangle. This is absolutely electric from Kian. If this is not a 25.7, I will eat my own hat as Kian now comes to the final corner on the run to line.
Wow.
25.729 and absolutely obliterates everyone else. Brothers in second, Blackbox in third. Blackbox, to be fair, is a 109.6 in the middle sector, but he's already done this middle sector spec. So Blackbox there in third, trying to improve. We'll see if more improvements can come about. Coming through the final couple of corners as well. Blackbox doesn't. Brothers doesn't. He's back in the pit lane. Not many improvements being found. Mubarak there ahead of Marlon to actually go 6th position ahead of him. Marcados, though, the OP man on the run toward the line. Can Marcados try and get in the fray? Yes, he can. He goes 8th position. Rodadol as well is 14th. And that, with Nando back in the pit lane, is the end of qualifying. It's Kian out on top. Brothers in second. Blackbox in third. I have just got to absolutely marvel at what we have seen from Kian. A 10th and a half clear of the rest of the field. Welcome back, Kian. You've been long gone.
Yes, I have to say, he was very unlucky last week with his penalty around Austria, but I think if this is the track to get pole position in, this is the track. It's like Monaco where qualifying is important. He's got to get a good start now. If he gets a good start, he's going to have a good race. I can tell you that right now. And he's going to hope that it's not going to rain. We are also going to hope that it's not going to rain as well. So I think he's going to pray that the sun dance comes instead of the rain dance. But the land of the rising sun, well, Kian is going to be shining on that tonight if he wins this one. So Kian is out there on pole position with Brothers in second, Blackbox third, Kazidal fourth, already in fifth. Really good qualifying for him. Not where I expect him to be, but definitely an improvement for him this season. Well, Black in sixth, then we got Stefano, Marcados and Marlon 7th, 8th and 9th. Matt in 10th, then we got Van Bussel 11th, Volakongam 12th, Tom with his first full-time appearance this season in 13th, Ryderdale 14th, Nando in 15th, Jensen in 16th, Ryan in 17th and Louis in 18th. But before we head over to the main action, we'll have a quick word from our title sponsors, GT Omega. We'll see you in just under 30 seconds. And we are back for PSGL PSF1 Season 34, and you should have heard the relief on my face when I saw the game, and it's a dry race, luckily. Hopefully it's going to stay like this, because otherwise there could be chaos, but the man, the Dutchman, Kian, is back in the McLaren by setting a 125.7 in qualifying attempt, separating him and the rest of the field, and we'll see if he can convert it to a race victory. He's had the promise in pre-season, hasn't shown it quite much in the full season so far. Maybe tonight can be a turnaround.
Definitely so. I think we saw a different Kian there, to be honest, here tonight, so far in qualifying. If he now takes that to the race and really hones in on his mentality and really hones in and gets away in the early stages of the race, this will be a different Kian that we'll see, and this could be the start of his championship charge. Brilliant lap. I could not even react. Well, Jess got the full reactions to what I did there, but I'm not even going to repeat what I said on stream. But it was a fantastic lap regardless. And I said about the ceiling of the 25.7. 25.7 it was in the end. Kian obliterating everyone by a 10th and a half. Welcome back, Kian, and hopefully we're going to see some really good racing as well here in a dry Japanese Grand Prix.
Yes, first years of Formula 1, 1987, Gerhard Berger won in the Ferrari. One of the Ferraris of Ola Congan and Jay Van Bussel do? Well, we'll have to wait and see. 27 laps await our drivers, 5.807 kilometres long, with one DRS zone towards the start-finish straight. Lap record in the race, 1:30.983, set by Lewis Hamilton in 2019. Last time we were here, season 31, and it was Tom that came out on top. Danerco in second, also known as Mirko Suriano, and Kazizel in third. So keep an eye on the two Shazoo man to see if they could do well here. But the lights will be coming on very soon. No formation lap, remember, as well. And we got to think about the strategies as well. They're either going to be starting on the mediums or hard as usual. But I think we'll see more people at the front starting on potentially the medium tyre because they want to get the softest rubber as they possibly can. A lot of drivers are taking a while to figure out their strategy today, it looks like. But hopefully we can get underway very, very soon as well. But yeah, it looks like mediums could be the tyre of choice, but you never know, they could prove us wrong.
Yeah, I started my league race, by the way, on a set of hard compound tyres, and they were absolutely awful. So do not go on a set of hard compound tyres. They're just not durable in the first half of the race. The mediums, so much more durable, but they wear out quicker. So you're going to be seeing drivers potentially coming in from lap 10, lap 11 onwards. In regards to that, if you see drivers on a set of hard, you're going to be seeing them pinning in potentially up to lap 15, lap 16, and even maybe beyond that onto a set of soft compound tyres. The drivers haven't not been told by the way to ready up. They are getting ready up very soon indeed. Kean, by the way, in terms of his lap, he broke his PB as a result of that lap time as well. So that just comes to show what he was cooking out on track.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers have been cooking today, not going to lie as well. I'm trying to remember what the F2 pole time was, but I think it was quite close between those two times as well. But let's get your predictions in chat. We got a Real Tech TV saying let's go Volakongan, but we are about to get underway. 5 red lights are on. Kian is on pole position, and it is lights out, and away we go. Look at the start that Morbrack has got, but Kian has got the start of Dreams heading towards turn number 1. A bit squirmy from Kazizel in the background, right in the middle, as we got Black Box trying to go around the outside of Bradders then heading towards turn 2, but couldn't quite do it at the moment. And there's one driver that's gone off into turn 1, and that was Kazizel. I had a feeling it was going to be him because he was the one who was squirmy on the exit of turn number 1, but everyone else getting away A-OK through the S's. 2 of the Mercedes are fighting. I wonder if there's going to be some team orders there. I don't know, but it looks like they're still going to be fighting through there. They're all in one big train at the moment. Oh, that's Tom. Has almost had a bit of a moment there. He's lost 2 positions because of it, but he's still able to fight there. So it's Kian still out on top, Brad is in second, and Black Box in third. And James, you spoiled something.
Yes, Stefano went deep into the hairpin. He's been outdone by Marlon on the exit of the hairpin. Gets the job done. So Marlon Thuney's into 7th. Stefano in 8th. Max in 9th. The one compound tyre that we didn't talk about, Way, is the majority. The sort of soft compound tyre. Right. They're more durable in the early stage of the race. And look at Black Box on the back of Bradders. He goes for second. He might even go for the race lead down in toward 130R as well. The hard's just not as switching on as what people might like. But Black Box now in towards the Casio Triangle. Pulls the outside line. In the AlphaTauri, trying to get the move on the McLaren in the end, does not fight this. They're side by side though with Marcos and Rallian in the background, and the Rallian trying to fight very, very grimly, I've got to say, on this sort of hard compound tyres. Marlon all of the back of Marcos, but here comes Black Box again for the race lead to the outside line, in towards turn number 1, and is he going to look around the outside? It's near like Senna and Prost as he goes around the outside of turn number 1. The AlphaTauri and McLaren make a little bit of contact in the end. It hasn't happened immediately, and Kian leads from Black Box in second, Mubarak there in third, and Mubarak on that sort of medium compound tyres, making those work and absolutely treating. Look at him, he's all on the back of Black Box coming to the first sector.
And don't forget, the soft tyres, they use about 6% tyre wear per lap, so I wonder if the tyre temps are struggling a bit more on the softs compared to the mediums, and with Morbat being on the more durable tyre and being on the most ideal tyre around this circuit, he's potentially going to be eyeing for this win here as well as we head towards the hairpin. DRS won't be activated, remember, until lap 3 and start finish straight like I was saying as well. And I like these mixture of strategies. We don't usually get that in PSGL, and look at the track that it's done it. It has done it in Japan, in Suzuka, round number 6 of the championship. And we still got plenty more tracks still to go as they all head towards Spoon Curve. Margados looking very racy, but Black Box going for the lead once again through towards 130R. Can he make it stick this time? Of course he can make it stick. Black Box into the lead, Kian in second. Morback stays in third, but surely he could have a chance to get past him this lap or maybe even next lap as well. And Ryder Dow, I think, was almost going to go for me, but he wasn't. No, he's not. I just jinxed him, and he spun.
He has. I think he got caught up in contact maybe with Jensen and Nando potentially and all of that. It was certainly very messy in toward the Casio triangle for Rotterdam. He's down there in 16th position. Gonna have to fight. It's very easy to fight though because he's got a big old DRS train pretty much spawning from Black Box all the way down to Ryan in 15th. So he can catch on that set of softs and he can really catch on that compound tire as well. As Mubarak's all over the back of Keane, coming through in toward the Dunlop curve at turn number 7. But Black Box there leading, Keane in second, Mubarak there in third. Let's have a look at the position changes actually early on in the race. Mubarak gaining 3. Most positions gained though further down the field. Jensen and Louis currently share that tie in terms of most positions gained on 4. Most positions lost, however, was Kazizel, and I think it was because he was completely out of sync to everyone else at the start. You saw that little bit of lag. You mentioned it there in commentary, Jess, and I think it was because he was out of sync in qualifying. Maybe a few internet gremlins or technical difficulties potentially going on for Kazizel here tonight. But he's just got to try now focus, and I think if he's got an engineer in the background, that he will be telling them just to focus because he can still get something out of this race. And season 31, both Kazizel and Tom were on the podium. Now they're down in 17th and 18th. Talk about deja vu.
I think that's a little bit of a curse, I think, with 2 of the drivers doing well in PSGL, PSF1 around Japan, and they're near the back. And it may just be that new talent is coming in and they're wanting to get the Japan crown off of them. And it looks like it could be anyone in this top 6 at the moment because they're all so close to each other. But Black Box started to pull away ever so slightly. Keane not able to get the move into 130R like we were seeing earlier, but look at the pace that Mubarak is showing on those mediums. He's got, I think, a great downforce setup. I think he's got high downforce compared to the likes of Keane, but you never know, Keane might be running the same and Mubarak's just probably got the better traction or maybe a better confidence heading towards Dunlop curb now as well. Tire temperatures increasing ever so slightly, and it's just about how they manage them as well. And I've noticed again, ERS can be another interesting factor. Oh, here comes Mubarak, and he's going to go up the inside in towards a hairpin. I think he's going to back off unless he tries to go around the outside. No, he does not. Mubarak stays ahead, but he's going to lose so much time just by squabbling like this. Because look at that, Black Box is already clear of DRS, so he's in a very good position, whereas Mubarak needs to get past soon so he can even fight Black Box himself.
He has, but Black Box's tyres are already beginning to go off. You can see a little bit of graining on the rear tyres. The rears are what take the hit around here, and Black Box is already beginning to grain. Keane, by the way, has got more ERS as well, 22% compared to Black Box on 6. Mubarak sitting pretty on 59% as he comes into the Casio triangle there in third. So the advantage is with the man on that side of medium compounded tyres, but Brad is there, 84% of ERS coming through the Casio triangle as well. Keane, very quick in a straight line. He's going to try and pull into the slipstream now, Black Box in towards turn number 1, but he's surely not going to be close enough for the move, and he is not indeed. So the McLaren will hang on to second position behind Black Box at the minute. But if I was in Keane's shoes right now, I'd personally go for the move right here, right now, and try and make Black Box pay in terms of the tyres, because he's low on ERS. He can see that. That red fuel light is flashing in front of him, and Keane has got, literally, with that red fuel light, a target completely locked on. It's a bit like an auto trigger, as if you were about to fire a gun on Call of Duty. It's pretty much like that. Keane has got that completely locked on the back of Black Box, but look at Mubarak, he's got a target locked on. It's Keane in front of him, and again he tries to look in toward the hairpin, but he can't get the job done as Kazizel is through on Rotterdam and makes a mistake coming out of Degdad 2. So Rotterdam down in 17th, Kazizel up into 16th, and they still have not latched back on to that DRS train. But Black Box's tyres beginning to go slightly, not as much as what I was expecting though, certainly.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing in terms of optimum pace is only a 3-lap difference between whether the softs or the mediums are optimal. And look at that, Keane is going to try and fight Black Box once again, and I think Mubarak was almost going to do that at this moment in time, but he wasn't going to do it currently. And oh, look at this, Brad is almost going to get them too. It's a 4-car fight for P1, and that could have almost ended in tears here at the moment. And just to confirm about the optimal tyres, 7 laps they could last optimally. It's going to be 3-1 in towards turn number 1 as Mubarak tries to cut in on the left-hand side. Keane gets the lead, Mubarak in second. What a move from Keane, but I feel bad for Black Box. He was leading and he's not lost not just 1, but 2 places. The ones on the softs, watch out for the ones on the hards and the mediums because they are catching like crazy.
Definitely so. Mubarak, to be honest, used Black Box as a bit of a slingshot to get that move done, and I thought he was going to get Keenan towards turn number 1 as well. But really respectful driving between them both. It is fantastic racing early on. No stewards reports hopefully to come just yet for the 17 that we had in Austria. So hopefully this is more returning to the Qatar racing standards that we had earlier on in the season. And rally in there going a little bit deep as well. A move that I saw in the background, by the way, into the Casio Triangle last lap around. Jerry Van Bussel now ahead of Stefano. So he's through and he's into 9th position ahead of Stefano. It was a beautiful move to the inside line in towards the Casio Triangle. So he got that job done. And already you can tell that's had a whole compound of tyres. Splitting the strategy, maybe like the PSL boys tomorrow night in Legacy Division, but Jerry on the back of Max, looking to try and get the job done, and look at the speed that he's got compared to Max, pulls the inside line in towards 130R. Those softs are beginning to get shot out on track, and Jerry Van Bussel now ahead of Max, through and he's into P8. Bradder's on the back of Black Box. If you want to set a soft compound of tyres right now, as Marlon tries to go around the outside of Marcados, tries to get the job done, the battle of the Germans, and look at Jerry Van Bussel to the inside line. How on earth they've got away without contact, I do not know, but it's 2x2. Max is trying to bump draft Jerry down the straight towards turn number 1. Already Bradder's getting through ahead of Black Box in the foreground a shot as well. Absolutely remarkable racing. Marlon through, Jerry Van Bussel through, Max is through. Marcados has lost 3 positions in the space of about the same amount of corners, but in the end, Marlon, Jerry Van Bussel and Max swamp on through, and Marcados couldn't do anything about that.
No, I think Marcados has pretty much been a sitting duck, I think, between these guys, which is very annoying for him because he was the consistent man in the championship earlier on this season. He was leading the championship at some point this season, but he's lower down than what you would expect. He would rather be leading it, but it's Jerry Van Bussel that's currently leading the championship, so that will be music to Jerry Van Bussel's ears, being ahead of his main championship rival, but there's some other championship rivals ahead of him, and that's not good for him either. But Marlon gaining some good speed heading towards Spoon Curve. Surely he's not going to be brave here, but I think he's going to go for a move just a little bit later on. But Mubarak, he says a new opportunity coming. If he wants to go for the move, he's got to get the move, I think, before lap 10, because that's when the memes start to die down, and then he can potentially go onto the hard tyres, but he's going to try and go for it now.
Marlon.
We can see Marlon as well trying to go for it, but this is the battle for the lead that we're watching for. No, more backs out. Let's contact. Marlon's out of the race, and are we seeing a safety car? Yes, we are. And I missed that, unfortunately, because we were seeing the battle for the lead. James, fill us in.
I saw that, and Marlon, I was on board with him as well. I don't know how on earth he's made contact there. Out of 130R, he's basically tried to go for the move on the outside, and he's there, and it's almost as if... I'm going to go back on the replay just to remember myself of who was actually beside him. It was Aurelian who was beside him, and I think Aurelian hasn't actually realised he's there, and it's just a bit of an overlap between them both. Marlon, in the end, out of the race, means Tom now is in 2nd position and carrying on with Jerry Van Bussel on that set of hard compound of tyres. But that is absolute wretched luck for Marlon. Did not deserve that at all. Aurelian potentially going to be getting a slap wrist as well after that. But in the end, accidents can and will happen. We never expect a 100% race. Marlon, you have got to feel sorry for him. And I feel absolutely heartbroken that Aurelian... He did. He did have the pace, and Aurelian, yes, he moved across them very slightly, but it's only the slightest of touches that can ruin somebody's race, and that's what we've seen.
I think that's due to the contact model as well, with how much easier the handling model is this year. Some of the drivers just want to take more risks, but sometimes the risks doesn't reap rewards sometimes, and if you just get a bit squirmy on the throttle, that is when you can potentially be in the firing line. But hopefully Marlon could come back from this next week, because otherwise he could be in a lot of trouble. But he can have his head held high saying that he had the pace anyway. But pretty much everyone is pitted apart from the top 2. And I have seen memes go to the end before from here, but with a bit of a push. The ones who can make it to the end are one of the ones on the hard side. So watch out for more black and black box. They're going to be the pretty much corking the ball, as it were. Same with Max Marcados as well. Mediums, can they get to the end from here?
It's a difficult one. If you've got very good tyre saving techniques, like the likes of Kian has, for example, and the likes of Brothers, I think you can get to the medium, to the end on the set of mediums, no problem at all. They wear off at around about a 5% rate around here, judging from my own experience of actually racing around here in Japan, and Tom is into pit lane from the race, or from second position, so he's actually going to take the hit and go back to the back of the field, and then going to set a medium compound and size down. That might be quite smart, actually, from Tom. I personally think the mediums are not going to get to the end. I think that ideally they need another safety car to get to the end. But Tom there in 17th, he's back in, and he's actually got front wing damage. So Tom has picked up front wing damage somewhere, maybe from earlier on in the race. Very much a roller coaster bump as he comes out of the pit lane box there in his Haas garage. But Tom there in 17th, he's there down at the back of the field, but in the end, it could be quite smart from him on a set of mediums. That obviously that front wing change just put him back 5 seconds underneath safety car conditions, so you can get back on no problem. We should go racing next time around. As Fish has asked there in the chat, great name by the way. Where is Jarno? Jarno is not here, unfortunately. You can catch him for PCF1 on Wednesday night. I believe it's just George Morgan and Jack Canan once again. I'm sure Jess will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it is George Morgan and Jack Canan.
I haven't heard otherwise, so I assume it's still going to be them, and it's around Imola on Wednesday, so that's going to be quite interesting. A track where we saw Josh Edo get one of his first pole positions on F1 Esports.
Definitely. It'll be a very interesting one. I'll be there probably in the chat as well, supporting on the esports guys. But Fish, if you do want to stay, these are the up-and-coming stars on PlayStation. These are the Jarno Opmies. Jarno Opmy famously was PlayStation
Season
before
25.
he actually went to PC. He was season 25. He won the championship. Then I think transferred to PC, 2 seasons later, and look at how he's now become in terms of the driver that he is. And it all started from him, starting off in PSGL, starting off on the PlayStation side. So if you did not know that about Jarno, there you go. World exclusive here on PSGL, PSF1. As I think, Jess, we're going to get the safety car in this lap.
Good timing from you, James. I think I need you for my lorry numbers.
Oh no!
Mubarak! What's happened to Mubarak there?
Jerry Van Bussel slowed up so slow on this restart. Kian nearly went into the back of him, and Barrett's just nearly piled into the back of both of them. That's what happened. Unfortunately, fortunately for them, they're all still in the race.
Yeah, I think that could have been worse, but thank goodness it's not worse. But let's hope Mubarak and Kian do not get any time penalties because of this. But anyway, we're about to go racing once again, and Jerry Van Bussel leads the field away, and a good restart from him. And despite that trouble, Mubarak has got a really good restart. He's going to try and go around the right-hand side in towards turn number 1, but Kian cuts him off. Very nicely done indeed. The top 3, the class their own for the rest of the field. Bradders are on the back of Black Box at the moment. They seem to be pretty even in terms of strategies, following every line that Black Box is making. He was going to try and go up the around the outside then, his Bradders, but not doing so currently. No one else is moving a finger right now, but you never know. Kian may try and go for the up and under through the Degners. He's got to at some point, because Jerry Van Bussel, the only driver to not pit, and Kian, if he doesn't get past, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So Kian going to have the first attempt to try and go up the inside and towards the hairpin. Nicely does it from Kian. Is Mubarak going to follow him through? Jerry Van Bussel's going to give Mubarak a really tough time. And I have to say, great defensive from Jerry Van Bussel there.
Yeah, and to be fair, unlike me, where I went for the move and actually pulled it off in Division 4 League of Europe, Mubarak didn't, and Mubarak's actually going to get a phenomenal run coming out of the sprint. A little bit of lag again, just kicking in from these guys. But Mubarak now up the hill in towards 130R. Is side by side with the Ferrari Jerry Van Bussel, but Jerry is catching so quick on the back of Keane. He runs out wide in the dirty air. Mubarak's moving to second. Jerry there now settled back into third. And Bradders down the inside on a Black Box. Like from a bolt out of the blue, gets that move done. He's into fourth, and now could look on the back of Jerry Van Bussel in towards turn number 1. Phenomenal restart by them all. Very slow, I've got to say, from Jerry Van Bussel's perspective. But it's like Mugello once again in terms of the safety car start in 2020. Exactly the same here in Japan. Kian Adam top though, Mubarak in second, Jerry Van Bussel in third, but he's getting absolutely hounded by the man behind the Bradders, the Pro Exhibition driver, looking to try and put an exhibition on to get Jerry Van Bussel through Dunlop Curve.
And for Jerry's sake, he's going to hope there's another safety car. But for our sake, let's hope there's no more safety cars, because otherwise there could be disaster coming as Bradders trying to go into Degner 1. And that's what we're seeing. No moves into Degner 1, but Jerry Van Bussel's gone a little bit too deep. That invites Bradders to go for the move. Better traction, better grip through there. Jay Van Bossel is losing a bit of pace, even though they're still in optimum window. The tyre temperatures are not an optimum window for Jay Van Bossel. So Brad is up to third, and it's around about a 4/10 difference between each tyres. Black Box now trying to get past Jay Van Bossel into Spoon Curve up the inside. Lovely stuff from Black Box there. Did what he needed to do. I'm surprised that Max did not follow him through there, but I think Max could try and do exactly the same thing through 130 up. No, he does not, but I have to say, top four looking very tasty indeed. More Brax now with an attempt of Kian now.
Rallying down the inside on a Volakongan in the background, a little bit of contact between them both. Ferrari and the AlphaTauri going side by side. And AlphaTauri might come out on top. Rallying, Max is through on Jerry Van Bossel though. He's dropping down like a duck through water, quite literally, in towards turn number one. Rallying there on the back of Volakongan, still not getting the move done. Zarad on board there. But I've got to say, Jerry Van Bossel, he could have easily got out of the way of these guys and just said, you know what, I'm going to come in the pit lane, put in a fresh set of mediums, and then catch everyone towards the end of the race. He's not doing that. He's expecting another safety car, as you mentioned, Jess, and I think he will be perfect, and he'll hang on to that because safety cars are very likely around this track. I think we've had a safety car in real life, out of 8 of the last 10 renewals, I think, of the Japanese Grand Prix, and Jerry Van Bossel really on the edge, I've got to say, in terms of his tyres, really on the edge in terms of his driving. But I've got to say, Black Box sold him like an absolute tipper coming through the Spoon Curve, and it was fantastic to watch on board with, as that is a rallying down the inside on a Volakongan in the background in the hairpin, and now the Ferrari and the AlphaTauri for the second time in the space of the same lap is going to go side by side in towards Spoon Curve. Is a rallying going to try and have the cojones to pull off this one? He does. Beautiful move by Aurelian to the inside on. The Frenchman outsold the Norwegian, and he's spooning into 8. Beautiful stuff.
Bravo from Aurelian. He needs the redemption for him because this season he hasn't scored many points because he's missed quite a few races due to him being on holiday, but he is back with a vengeance, with PSR merged with Talent Factory, as Jay Van Bossel under pressure from Margalos. Margalos up into 6th. Surely and running now as all. Jay Van Bossel is getting very squirmy now. He's really struggling on those hardcore battle tyres. We got change for the lead. More Black has got Kian then. Up into P1. Max has overtaken Black Box as well. Up into P4. So much has happened in the space of a few corners then. Aurelian eventually gets past Jay Van Bossel, and now he's going to try and see with the tyre delta if he could get past Markados, who's on the hard compounder tyres. But I wonder if Markados could be a little bit more patient in this instance as well. But we're starting to see some really good racing, and Nando is quite close as well. He was trying to go for it in Degner 1, but I wouldn't advise that, and luckily he didn't. But Louis almost tapped the back of Nando there.
No, there would have been definite contact. And look at this dive bomb from Nando to the inside line on the back of Jensen. Is he going to pull off the move on the Shazoo man? OP against Shazoo might be a sign of things to come tomorrow night as Nando and Jensen are side by side coming through. And look at how slow they are in front, because Jensen now is boxed in on the back of Volakongan. He can't go anywhere. Nando can't get that move done. So both of them, in effect, got absolutely boxed in by the 2 Ferraris ahead. And Jerry Van Bus and Volakongan are going to have their own private scrap as well, because Zizzle is through on the back of Louis Valentine, who made a mistake, I think, coming out of Spoon. Ryan getting the job done as well. But the Ferraris now are going to go side by side, maybe with Jensen in towards Casio Triangle. The Ferraris are certainly going to try it, but in the end, Jensen with a bit of contact. There's a bit of a Constantino effect in behind as well, but Mubarak leads. But here comes Kian again, roaring at them down in towards turn number 1, and Kian gets the job done for the race lead, 1 lap 14. And I tell you what, this race has been absolutely epic, and I really hope we continue this.
Well, to be honest, the last few races from a spectator perspective has been absolutely incredible to watch. I've been liking PSF1 for a majority of the season, despite the amount of sheer reports in some races. But I think this race has been a lot cleaner, apart from obviously the Marlon incident. That will almost certainly be investigated. But apart from that, everything's been A-OK, and they've pretty much been given some moves which can be risky at times, but they can pull it off, and it shows you that you can overtake. In Japan, I almost said Spain there, but I don't know why I almost said Spain, but...
Oh, Nando!
Nando or Jay Van Bossel?
So close to the grass, so close to making contact. But I tell you what, there was not an Aston Martin-shaped gap up the inside line into the hairpin. He made an Aston Martin-shaped gap. Jerry Van Bussel saw him coming very much at the last minute, and brilliant stuff as Louis Valentin gets now the elbows out on Ryan. Tom now getting in the mix as well. It's all kicking off in 13th and 14th position. But Kian leads, Mubarak second, Brothers there in third, Max there in fourth. And the race of the driving now, side by side, Tom and Louis Valentin in towards 130. Hold on to your hat, people! As he goes to the outside line, somehow didn't get knocked off track. Tom to the outside line, Circassio Triangle, still fighting very aggressively, these two. They're going to run off into the gravel if they're not careful. And Louis Valentin nearly spins his damage there for Stefano, who was the innocent party in all of that. White Solemn plate damage, I think, for Stefano in all of that. Kian now still leads from Mubarak second, Brothers there in third. But contact that could have been avoided, should have been avoided.
Yeah, I think do not go 3 wide then to a corner, because consequences like that could happen, and we're pretty much halfway into this race so far. If you're liking this video and stream, make sure you leave a like and hit that notification bell if you're new. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because you can't chat in the live chat if you're not subscribed. So, and we're on a decent amount of subscribers, but it will be good to get some more. Kian and Mubarak looking very good, but we're going to see about the energy deployment. You can see that Mubarak has used quite a lot of energy, not as much as Kian. Kian has used pretty much hardly any battery in his car, which is great to see, so he can pretty much defend for the likes of Mubarak during certain corners. And look at this, Max looking very good, almost heading towards 130R, but he got a bit squirmy on exit through Spoon. This could be his chance to get his best result of the season. To be fair, James, I was expecting him at the start of the season to be fighting for wins, not for 4th place, but this is definitely a better result coming. To be fair, he admitted to us that he has been struggling with the F1 23 game. He hasn't really been enjoying it, but yeah.
Here's Mubarak.
Here's Mubarak up to the line as he goes towards turn number 1. Into the lead. There he goes. He's going for the lead right now.
Yeah, back to your thing about Max as well. 4th position. He has been struggling on this game. I totally agree with you. But look at him. He's in 4th position. Black Box is behind 1.2 seconds. This is perfect. If he can just keep it and not make mistakes like what he's just been doing there through the S section, and he can keep it within the straight line and keep it within the white lines, he could actually win this race. And I am going to throw it out there now that I think he will. Because look at his ERS. 71% of ERS. Brothers on 48. Kian's on 70, so it's pretty much same mixture in terms of the ERS. Blackbox now within that DRS range as well. But Mubarak goes on 37%. He's got to use that ERS to try and defend off Kian. Kian's got to use his battery up. Brothers and Max, to be honest, can just sparingly use theirs, as, of course, they will. Because Max there in 4th position, he's just losing a bit of ground now on the front 3, if he's just struggling for a little bit of pace potentially. But if I was him right now, I'd just back off these 3, let them go at it, and let Max then come at it. Because Kian and Max, I guarantee you, are probably going to be in the same party. They are so close in terms of the racing, so close in terms of being friends as well. And Max and Kian will be working, even though it's not a team's championship, they will be working together to try and maximise the result that they can get, as Mubarak was very much shocking coming out the final corner. A Casio Triangle, and now Kian and Brothers are going to come through to 1st and 2nd. Brothers absolutely sends it to the inside line, and Mubarak gets the job done in towards turn 1. Kian now leads, Brothers in 2nd, Mubarak in 3rd, and literally in the space of, 30 seconds, the complex of the race changes.
Once again, and I think it's going to be not too long before the complexities of this race changes once again, because the mediums will start to lose their optimum pace in a lap's time. So, Mubarak and Max could try and fight back a little bit here as they head towards the latter stages of this race on lap 17. Out of 27 as Black Box, I think, almost ran out of DRS there to Max, but he is trying to fight again. Luckily, with only 1 DRS zone, he has plenty of time to get within the DRS range to pretty much stay in that train. And you can see Mubarak has found a bit more pace again, so there might be some laps where he was saving energy and tyre wear, and then maybe this is the lap. Oh, that was squirmy. Max could take advantage of this, heading towards 130R there. That was almost a recipe for disaster. Thank goodness it didn't end in a disaster. Max now is on for a podium position. The win could be on the cards here for Max, and who would have thought it? I didn't think I'd be saying that on F123, but I am saying it on F123. Max is on the podium. Mubarak has definitely got to fight here. The pad go on F123, I have to say, on PlayStation, but I'm sure other drivers will beg to differ on that front as the top three. Just look at that. They're all taking similar lines as well. Van Bussel still hasn't pitted yet. I think Van Bussel is still hoping for a safety car so he can go on to softs. He's cooking.
He is. He's cooking on something, but I don't think it's the right sort of cooking that he's doing tonight, to be honest. He's there in 11th. He's struggling. He's got to be on hope for safety car to come out, ideally in the next 2 laps or so, because he's got no chance otherwise to feature in this race. Max again on the back of Brothers. Mubarak there, completely out of shape coming through Spoon Curve, and that led to Max getting that job done. But Mubarak now, he just looks like he's sort of lost his head a little bit. And I mean this in the strongest possible terms, because Mubarak there in 4th is a very much solid driver. But that mistake has now cost him, and it's just put him on the back foot. And I can tell that from his driving style. Coming in towards Spoon Curve, you see, if that back end kicks out again, luckily not this time, but again, it just wants to sort of go out on you, the car. And it looks like he's just beginning to struggle, potentially mentally as well as physically, in terms of the demands here in Japan. And this is what drivers are trained to do. They have their engineers, they have their teams, they're in absolutely brilliant teams at that as well. But Mubarak now, pad goal albeit, he's there in 4th. If he's got a hope, ideally, for a little bit of a comeback into this race, it's from Max in front of him. As Mubarak is trying to close in on Max in towards turn 1, but not going to get the job done. But he's got to hope that Max has got the speed to try and match the front 2. If he does, brilliant. If he doesn't, Blackbox is going to close in, Aurelian's going to close in, and then Mubarak potentially could lose more positions.
Yeah, I think this could be a chain reaction if Mubarak is not careful, and it might be down to his setup. He might put too much tyre pressure than you might expect, but I can't remember what is the ideal tyre pressure to put on the car. It's different for each track. It's not like last year on F122 where you can put your tyre pressure all the way to the left for every track and it's good for that in the dry. You just got to think on your feet a little bit and decide what's best for you, how you can manage the tyres effectively, and that can help you with the tyre pressures. But for here, it's more physically demanding with the tyre temperatures, so that's where they got to manage it with obviously the brake bias as well. There's some brave souls that can change the brake bias on the fly. You got to be skilled to do that. I can't even do that. That's why I always keep mine at the same. And let's see what Matt's could do now on the back of Brothers. This could be a chance to get P2 on the road. No time penalties thus far, apart from ride it out. He could go the long way around into the Casio Triangle, but Brothers closed the door once again. Nando gets past Volakongan, and they're having a nice battle there. Let's watch that.
Beautiful. Beautiful
from Nando there. Oh, he got a bit squirmy there. That was close for Nando. That almost saw him hitting the wall. That was almost race over for him as Volakongan. Oh, is he going to get past around the outside? Nope, he's not through turn number 1, so he stays ahead. And this is a fight for P8, remember. Top 10 score points in PSGL. And Volakongan wants to try and make sure we get some decent points regardless. So you're all in for this race so far. Kian is leading, Brad is second. Everyone apart from Jay Van Bussel has made their pit stops, but there's always been question marks on whether the memes could get to the end. The ones in the chat saying, PLX21 saying it's going to be tough for Kian with his memes. Yes, I agree. Avatar saying memes sides, they can go all the way to the end, but they won't have any effect, speed and stability. Yes, stability, I think, is the crucial factor. If you can't keep the car stable, then that's why you're losing all that time, and it is really down to tyre temperatures. But we'll see what they can do at the final stretch of this race. When will Jay Van Bussel pit? Who's going to win this race? Will we see some final twists that could change this race entirely? I don't know. We'll find out in just under 8 laps time.
And yeah, and looking at the provisional standings as well, I have it as Brad is now taking the championship lead. He's there in 2nd position. His nearest rivals, Markador's in 7th, Kazizel in 12th, and Jerry Van Bussel in 13th. So 2 out of the main 4 protagonists coming into tonight are not scoring points. Jerry and Boss has got no chance of scoring points because Izzle, to be honest as well, not struggling and not going to be picking up points. So this is perfect for Brothers, perfect for Marketals. They are now going to be potentially first and second coming out of tonight. But there's still if, buts and maybes and absolutes and all of that. But Kian leading the way from Brothers in second, Max there in third. And Max, I called it, about maybe 5-6 laps ago, saying he would win this race. He's there in third, and he's there on pace, and these tyres are now beginning to drop off. Brothers' tyres, you can tell, he's losing time on the back of Kian. I thought they were playing it smart. I thought Kian was certainly playing it smart. I thought he was backing up actually into Black Box. They're rallying, getting the back there, but it's not. They're all fighting for themselves, which is fantastic, and considering PSR have got 5 out of the top 6 right now, I think it just speaks the volumes in terms of the domination, in terms of the real great driving that we're seeing here tonight. But Kian leading the way, Brothers in second, Max in third. That man in Red Bull, though, was the man to watch out for. I called it for miles out that he would win this race. He better hope, and I better get this right, because otherwise I'm going to lose like an absolute fool on the string. As now, is he going to go for the move on Brothers in towards 130 yards, closing up very quickly to the back of Brothers. Brothers, to be fair, closing up at a slower rate compared to Kian. And is he going to look to the outside on Picasso trying? He might think about it, but in the end, he's not. And Max just saying, you know what, I'm there, I'm sticking with you. And Mubarak all of a sudden get into this race as well.
Yes, I think with the tyre drop-off, Max has got to get past ASAP, and I think he's going to try it here in towards turn number 1, but you can see Brothers defending to the inside, which is really helping. Oh my goodness! That was, again, very close for Max, but he kept the car pointed in the right direction in all the right places eventually as well, but imagine if that happened and he would have hit the wall. I think James would have never heard the end of it. I would have kept saying, I told you so, I told you so. But at the moment, still in third place and still has a shot of this win. Once he gets past Brothers, he's probably not going to find it too hard to get past Kian. But I have to say, bringing back your PSR point in the picture, there used to be Talon Factory on the PlayStation side. They've now got some Xbox drivers who, I have to say, on the PSR side, in Xbox anyway, they've been great in many leagues, and they're bringing the PlayStation side of things now, and it makes their team even stronger. And I have to say, if people are looking for a team to join, PSR is definitely the one to particularly watch out for as well. But yeah, let's just say, Black Box will probably be even keen to get past Mubarak at this stage, but Mubarak definitely wants to be the odd man out here. Mubarak just being a little bit patient as Nando getting past his own P compatriot of Margados up the inside towards Casio, and that was absolutely fantastic from the Aston Martin driver. I almost said Alfa Romeo there, but there we go. But Nando up into 7th spot, and I have to say he's one of the drivers that is doing very well. Race lead, Brothers versus Kian then. Matt's going to take advantage of both of them, but he cuts off a little bit. Kian takes the lead once again, and Brothers almost got the lead back. And you can see that the tyres are dropping off, and Max is going to try and be very, very brave. And let's hope he doesn't end in tears, because otherwise I could be absolutely disastrous. But look who's on the back of this now. It's Mubarak. He wants a piece of the pie as well. And I wonder, I'm just looking at the overall difference here. Is Max quicker than Mubarak, or is it the other way around? It looks like Mubarak seems to be catching Max at this rate.
I think he is, and it's because of the mediums dropping off. Black Box in the rally, and they've gone very deep in the background, by the way, into the hairpin. They've just lost a hell of a lot of time now out on track. I think it's the crossover period between the mediums and the hards. The hards are now beginning to get quicker, and the medium runners are now beginning to fall into their laps. So Kian and Brothers are going to really struggle towards the end of the race. We've got, 4 laps to go after this one is complete. Max and Mubarak ideally have got to work together. Mubarak's just sitting pretty there on 73% of ERS and not giving a care in the world. Max is there on 57%, and he wants to try and inflict a bit of pain on the back of Brothers and Kian. If I was in both of their shoes right now, I'd work together, because that is the best possible chance you've got of this race win. Kian, though, leading the way. Brothers in second. Of course, Brothers is so slow coming at the Casio Triangle, and because of his tyres, but look at the straight line speed. He makes it all the way up down the straight, and Brothers, look at him, to the inside line of turn number 1. But here comes Max to the outside line of turn number 1. And he's going to be hung out to dry. Mubarak's going to get this move done. Is he in towards turn 3? No, he's not. Kian, Brothers, Max remain as they are, but there's just mistakes beginning to creep in. One mistake will be very costly.
Yes, and I think it's going to be too late for a safety car. And by the way, speaking of pit stops, Jay Van Bussel unfortunately was hoping for one, and there wasn't one near the time, so he's on to accept the stock compound the tyres. And he's definitely, I think, unless the top two have some sort of disaster, he's going to lead his championship lead, which will be a bit of a shame because he did so well last week. Where, oh, that was quite close. And here comes Tom and Jensen fighting for P10. This is the final point, remember? And I have to say, Jensen having a much better race than we're seeing in the last few. As don't forget, Jensen was not feeling very well last week. And this is Tom's first race as a full-time driver. And look at that through Spooner curve. But I think he got a bit squirmy on exit. And he's still there. Cazizzel trying to go up the inside in towards 130. I'm going to keep an eye on Max as well, because he could go for a move past Bradders very soon. There's just so much action going on in the space for a few laps. Here comes Tom. Tom keeps the position from Jensen, so let's keep an eye on the top three once again. It's Max's pretty much third or fourth chance to get past Bradders. Oh, he's probably going to think about it. Oh, he has a love tap at the moment, but no harm done.
They're in the same team, but put it this way, it is all for themselves, and that is what I want to see. This is brilliant racing between all three of them. Kian looks like he's got this race under control. I've got to be honest, the McLaren there, 5/10 of a second, and it's almost as if Bradders is working together to put Max under pressure, and Max not to gain on the back of Kian. It is absolutely fascinating stuff. And remember, Legacy Division starts tomorrow, and these guys have got to work together in PSR tomorrow night in WR Legacy Division, which I'm commentating on, which is going to be very fun indeed, because Max on the back of Bradders. But look, Keane, Bradders, Max, Mubarak, whoever wins this race is absolutely deserving. There's a yellow flag. Ryan and Louis Valentine. Louis Valentine is fun coming out through through Degner 2. I think that's by himself. I saw position loss there as well for Ryan. He got overtaken by Rydell, maybe as a result of a mistake, but Kean there leading the way. Bradders in second, Max in third, and here we go once again. It's like Fight Night round 3, but it's actually round 6 out of a 12-round tussle here in Japan. Kean leads on Bradders in second, Max in third, but now into the Casio Triangle. The games begin again as Bradders looks to try and defend. Little bit of a squirrely moment there for Max, puts him on the back foot and lets the front two just pull away, and then Mubarak all of a sudden beginning to get into this, and now the Padgoat looks to the outside line, down the straight in towards turn number 1. The Aston Martin I don't think has got the speed to live with the Red Bull, and the Red Bull still stays in P3. Mubarak in 4th, Black Box in 5th. Fantastic racing, and Tom all of a sudden 17 Apple mediums. His fresh mediums are coming into play. He's now ahead of Olakongan. Up into 9th. He's not going to get anywhere near the top 8 though. Well, I can't hear you, Jess. I'm not sure if we're still live, but I can't hear Jess on my end, so I'm just going to pulse with it. Oh,
no, my mic was on mute. My mic was on mute, covering all of that.
I did tag you, but there we are. Anyways, it's the final lap of the race. We've just sat in radio silence for the last 2 laps or so. Goodness me,
my God,
I apologise.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you are totally fine. I'm not sure if you were handing over to me or anything, but Kian leads the way. Brad is in second, Max in third. We saw some very hard defence, I've got to be honest, there as well on the penultimate lap, but it's still all up for grabs. Kian has had that element control over the race, and it looks like he's going to come out on top, but Brad and Max are having a real private ding-dong for second and third at this stage. We're coming through the final couple of corners out of Spoon Curve for the final time. It has been an absolutely remarkable race to watch. No matter who wins, Kian leads the way, but here comes Brothers now on the run up toward 130R. Thomas Fun coming through Spoon Curve, but now Brothers is going to change it for a last move around the outside line in toward 130R. Can't, maybe getting the switch back. Kian's gone deep, and Kian now on the exit will get to the line in front. Kian on the run to the line, wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Brothers in second, Max there in third. Brilliant race throughout. Fantastic racing from the top five as well. Kian wins, Brad is second, Max in third. Absolutely deserves that, and apologies for the radio silence.
Yeah, I think it must have been my hairbrush that knocked the mute button. That's probably what happened there. Well, that was the end of the race, and Kian definitely showed what he's made of. And the question was, can Means get last 20 laps? Yes, but they have to work for it, and Kian definitely worked for it. And he's won by 3 tenths per second, and we've got a PSR 1, 2, 3. And someone said in the chat that they thought I had to answer the door there. I feel kind of embarrassed now. Oh my goodness.
So
Anyway.
did I. I thought, oh, she's gone for some reason, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? But anyways, we sorted it all out. I just had to try and jump in there on whatever you were saying, so I apologise for that. But Kian taking that race when Brad is in second, Max in third. To be honest, this race was absolutely remarkable, not only in terms of the tacticalness from the PSR boys as Joe Van Bussel gets the fastest lap of the race right down there at the back of the field, but it was brilliant to watch, and Kian absolutely deserved that. I said, 3 laps from the end, he had an element control of the race. Nando gets Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans. To be honest, you could give Driver of the Day to any of the top 3. They were so deserving of it, and it was brilliant racing to watch. More on the standards of driving from Qatar, and I did put a message in over the weekend saying, guys, you've got to up this. It is top-tier racing. That is what a top-tier drivers can produce. That was brilliant.
Yeah, and I think they must have learned from that, because otherwise they would have expected another long message from you, James. So they were, I think, a bit worried about what was going to happen if there wasn't a good driving standards. PSF1 delivered. There was no rain as well, which was great news, but we will run through your results then, as Kian is in a P1 from lights to flat victory. But it definitely didn't look like one because he had to fight for it. Brad is in second. Max from 10th to 3rd, by the way. Mulbrack 6th to 4th. Blackbox in 5th. Nando from 15th to 6th. Here's, I think, one of his best races of the season. Aurelian in 7th. Markados 8th. Volakongan and Jensen, your final point scorers. Then we got Casildo, Ryder, Dow, Tom, Jerry, Ryan, Stefano, Louis. And we've only had one retirement, and that was Marlon. So everyone else finished this race, which was great news, but so many drivers of the day. But I'm going to have to give one of them to Kian, because Kian pretty much did the unthinkable and saved his medium tyres to the end, and he held position. And since it was a track that it was hard to overtake on anyway, I think his qualifying helped him there.
Definitely so, and to be honest, tactically, I think he got the race right. He read the situation really well in behind, and the way that were making mistakes, the way that Max was making mistakes and going very aggressive in the final 5 laps of the race, I think cost Max potentially the race, when cost Mubarak certainly a chance at the race, when they will feel absolutely gutted, but they should not be gutted. There was plenty of positives to take out of that race. And in the end, Kian taking that defensive line, really fighting with Bradders as well toward the line as well there. Just come to show what talented drivers we've got here in PSF1, and I really hope that this continues for the rest of the season and that the standards do not fall, Jess, in Imola, which is the next round of the championship.
Yes, and from previous experience, since I did a league race there last week, there could be some carnage there potentially, but I have seen races where it hasn't been carnage and it's been very good. So more of the same of what we saw in Qatar and Japan, please. That will be lovely. And it's one of those tracks where the braking zone is just so long you've got to be thinking on your feet. And do we have any interviews?
I have already been refused 2, unfortunately. It is Bradders and Max who said they can't. I mean, to be honest, I don't blame them. They've got a big team event to prepare for tomorrow night, so they might be having a private meeting potentially about that. But we are waiting to hear from the man who finished in P1 in Kian, so might wait on him. If not, don't worry, we're not going to get any interviews, but I will await a response from the Dutchman.
Yeah, so whilst we wait on that as well, of course, let's look at the calendar for the remaining races of season 34 then, as we've got obviously Japan, we just had that, we've got Imola next week, then we had to Spa on the 4th of September, 11th we head to Jeddah, and then on the 18th we head to Mexico, and then the final 2 rounds yet to be decided, and we can't confirm it's not going to be Singapore, as Connor confirmed last week, because it won't be done in time for obviously when season 34 is over, unfortunately. But hopefully it's ready in time for obviously the real life race coming up as well. You can tell that I'm trying to say a lot of stuff to see if we can get Kian in, because it will be good to hear from him. But because this was the race he was looking for. He got that penalty last week. He missed out on quite a few chances this season. Could this be his comeback? Because I think the last few races, the one who's won the race, he's had a really bad race the next race after.
Well, he has snuck into the waiting room, so I guess we can ask that question to himself. But yeah, I'll bring him in just a second. But yeah, coming back to your point, I think Kian certainly has delivered, I think, a brilliant performance there. And honestly, it could have went to anyone, that race. And I have a feeling this is just the start for him. I said in qualifying with that lap, it was the new Kian that we were seeing. It was like a rebirth. And we saw that in the race as well. And I am going to... did I accidentally kick him out there? I might have done.
Kian, come back.
He joined, and then I right-clicked, and then something happened, and then he went.
Hold on. We're going to try and get him back.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, we're literally going to try and get him back. So our second technical difficulty of the evening. But I think for the latter part, we're at least going to find a solution to make sure it doesn't happen again. But we're going to drag it... Oh. He can't join... I've got an idea. I think we both have to join the rating room. Yeah. So let's both join the rating room. And I'll drag James in there as well if he'll let me. There we go. As James is the usual interview host, as it were.
There we go. Right, I can hear Kian coming through on my end, which is fantastic. Kian, congratulations on that race win. Talk us through it, but most importantly, talk us through that qualifying lap, because it was, I believe, a PB for you.
Yeah, it indeed was my PB. Thank you. Well, first, quality. I was really happy with that lap. It was really good. Then in the race, I feel like when the safety car came out, it wasn't really in my favor because I was on the hard tires. So I was kind of worried that the mediums wouldn't hold it. But luckily I had Brad behind me on the mediums as well, the safety car. So if we just work together a bit, we could keep the hard runners behind. And yeah, if I had a good exit every single time out of the chicane, I could keep him behind. And yeah, for the rest, my pace was looking really good. So I'm really happy with this.
Yeah, I said in qualifying, and I've just said there to Jess on the live stream, it looked like a bit of a rebirth for you, I think, in terms of your performances so far this season. It was the Kian that I think we know and love in PSGL F1. It was that sign of he's back. And I think I got that certainly from commentary and certainly from your performance tonight. I think you are back.
Yeah, it's just the results lately in PSGL has been very bad. I'm in the bottom of the standings, but I feel like my pace really isn't at there. It's really at the top. And yeah, I hope I can get back into the championship fight. This, of course, really gives it a boost as the 16 points. But yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I think.
It certainly proved that. Certainly proved that, and it was fantastic to watch out for. And obviously, you had your Minister of Defence behind you and Bradders late on
Yeah.
defending off Max. That must have been very interesting from a PSR perspective.
Yeah, to be honest, luckily we're not in the same voice chat during the race, else we would be shouting against each other, I think. But I think the boys did it well, they kept it clean. So, yeah, maybe there's a bit something, or that they're a bit angry at each other after the race, but I think everything went clean and everybody is, I think, happy.
Now, channel that anger into another 1-2 tomorrow for PSR and Legacy Division. That's what I say. Jess, I'm going to
I
hand it
hope
over
so.
to you. Any questions?
Well, first of all, it was about time that you got that race victory after what happened last week. So, Matt, congratulations to you. Next round, of course, we've got Imola. We've got a few other rounds along that as well. Are you confident that you can get this season back on track, as it were? And with the season as close as it is, can you realistically still challenge for the PSF1 title?
I think I can. The calendar looks, they're all my best tracks, like Imola, Jeddah and Mexico are my top 3 tracks. So I think that should be fine if nothing happens in the race. So yeah, I think I can get back into it, yeah.
Good answer.
Very, very good answer. Nicely dealt with, I've got to be honest there as well. Yeah, congratulations, Keen, on the race win. And yeah, go and enjoy Ethan.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for commentating. And I forgot to say one thing, but shout out to my engineer, Mace. He kept me cool the whole race, so a big shout out to him.
Good to see the engineers getting a lot of love. Go and enjoy Ethan.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
And for those of you
Bye-bye.
that obviously don't know about the engineer side of things, they play a huge role into some of the drivers' races. Obviously, with people in the lower tiers, they may not have engineers, but I think having an engineer in the higher tiers is just so crucial into getting good results, because they may know more. They know like insider information. Potentially, they could be watching the stream, and a lot of things could potentially happen that could make or break a race. And I think we've seen that with Bono, with Lewis Hamilton, in a way, where Bono was keeping Lewis Hamilton calm in a lot of the races. I think that's what we saw with Keane's engineer, keeping him calm throughout whilst he was battling for the win there, which I think made a difference in the end.
It did. And I think it was on lap 24, and I mentioned that he's got it under control, and he was only 4 tenths per second clear coming to the S section, but that's when I think I knew his engineer was telling him, right, just focus on the job, because those two in behind, not in the same party as you, as it was proven. And then Bradders and Max went to absolute war down the straight towards turn 1 on the final lap, and then probably got Keane the win, even though it was very, very tricky for Keane in that race. The mediums held on very well, and I know Jensen's been mentioning that in the chat in Discord, saying the mediums held on better than what people were hoping. And that's why you don't go on a set of hards like I did, certainly in my race, and that's why you follow the experts and go on the set of medium compound tires come the end of the race and really try and excel. Keane excelled down on track tonight, absolutely deserved it, and I believe because he was in the championship and he was right down at the bottom end of the standings. In fact, I have got them up here, and he was 17th coming tonight, 6 points. He's now on 31 points, barring any stewards reports. He's on 31 points, and that'll put him, I believe, within the top 10.
Wow. So that was, I have to say, a big jump between what we saw earlier on in the standings, and it just shows that you do not give up. So I think watch out for some other drivers as well, and Max performed well as well. It's a bit of a shame that we didn't get to talk about him. Max delivered tonight when it counted, and he definitely showed that he could pull out the performance as well. But we're going to have to go, because obviously we just heard from Kia, we couldn't hear about the other two. A big thank you to everyone that's watched us live or post-event. We appreciate your presence. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram at PremierSimGL. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Discord. Also, last plug of our sponsor, GT Omega, 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout. And you may get one of those lovely chairs that me and James are sitting on, and they're very comfy indeed. Also, James, what is our newest sponsor, if you please?
Virage GG, and I'm going to get up the information about that as well right now, just while I panic because I haven't got the information out in front of me. But they are, of course, the new sponsor for Premier Sim GL, and I believe they are giving away a pair of gloves, if I'm not mistaken. I will get that up right now and tell you. You definitely want one. You definitely want one. Yeah, Virage sponsor, new sponsor. Premium sim racing glove brand, and you can sign up to their pre-sale to get 20% off. It is at virage.gg, that is virage.gg, or you can search up the hashtag PSGLXVirage on Twitter, or on X.
There you go. So those are two sponsors, and obviously our title sponsor, G2 Mega. We will hear from them again in just a moment, but for myself and James, see you next week, same time, 8 PM UK time, for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. But make sure you join George and Jack on Wednesday, where you can see the likes of Jarno Opmeer compete in PC F1 at 7 o'clock UK time. Full qualifying. We're going all at it at PSGL. Take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Opmeer is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.